Okay, then yeah. The course content of AZ 900 is 15 to 20% of cloud concept. In the cloud concept, you will see what do you mean. I mean, understanding the terms like high availability, scalability, elasticity, agility, fault tolerance, and disaster recovery. This is for this is related to the availability of services and the principle of economies of scale, like how economic is to move from your existing data center to on premise. See, in my view, I have worked in these cloud technology for, I mean, just they came in picture in 2006 to 7. We used to hear about the cloud concept and technology. In the beginning, they will show you that it is very cheaper, that you don't have to maintain your power supply, UPS, and all that, but you only have to maintain your internet connectivity with the you can say ISP as well as your data center. They will provide the express route also. In the starting, they will explain you, but sooner when on later you will start using their all the services, then the actual picture comes, and you will see they are not very cost effective, but when you will start using all the technology or services provided you, you will find uh, it, it is fruitful to your business users. So it is actually a expensive one, but of you will get more functionality from those services. So you will enhance your business in that case. Because for if you take again like Ratesh was mentioning the example of VDI, Windows Virtual Desktop, I will take the example of E5 features. Have you heard about E5 E3 license in Microsoft, Vinit?
No.
Okay, so these are the license of office services like Mailbox, Skype for Business, MS Teams, SharePoint, Sway, Stream, MS To Do, and there are hell lot of features with E3 and E5. So uh, they charge you based on features you enable in your environment. So if you are using basic Mailbox and you are not even using the Outlook client on your desktop, they have a cheaper version of E5, which is F1 or F3. If you want to use the full-fledged features of E5 like SharePoint, Exchange, MS Teams with the telephony and all the features available with the Microsoft, then they will charge you for the whole bunch of package. But you do not have to do any changes in your environment. You do not have to install any server in your environment. You just have to click that option in the portal, and that feature will be deployed to the feature will get enabled for the user. Although for pushing of client you need to take help from SCCM, and now you can manage all the Windows devices through Intune, but client you have to push it, otherwise you just have to enable that feature, so you don't have to do many changes in the environment. So it is you can say expensive, but it is user friendly also, like admin friendly also for business. They can you can enable, and about the changes at the back end, you don't have to worry about the changes in back end. You only have to worry about the configuration changes you will do in your environment. So they in the back end, they keep on doing these security patching, and for enhancing performance they keep on moving your machines to different you can say resource group and all that. But you will not come to know about the changes at the back end, because you do not have the visibility on those changes. But it is highly available in if you I think Ratnesh can let you know in the outage regarding VMs, but I know for sure There is hardly any outage for Office 365 service in last 2 to 3 years. If I remember correctly, there was only 1 to 2 outage in last 3 years. So they are highly available.
So it's the same kind of stuff like what we are doing in VMware. If we migrate machine from one ESX host to another ESX host, if ESX host A have a high utilization, so we can migrate one or two machines to another ESX host to make them available, or we can say the performance will be proper. Or in backend we are doing something on VMware level or cluster level or EXI level to get the performance better or fine tuning. So it's the same
Yeah,
kind of stuff.
yeah, Vinit. So actually, let me pitch in. 100% correct, actually. But what they're using Hyper-V, are they using VMware ESXi, are they using Kubernetes clustering in the backend, are they using Citrix Gen Server or Gen Host?
Mhm.
We need not to worry about that. But yes, without hardware, without underlying networking and underlying virtualization, nothing is possible, sir. You're right. But yes, as a customer, as an administrator, as your administrator, we need not to worry about backend activities or actions. Clear?
Yes.
Over to you, Varun.
Okay, so now you will come the concept of like we discussed yesterday, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service, and the comparison of all these three methodology we purchase from Microsoft. So it will depend. See, while you are saying infrastructure as a service, it will depend that what control you have in your environment. It is not like that you will have the same components in like, see, you will work in the same way as you were working while you were having on premise environment. So uh, s- uh, the billing method of Microsoft work, how you have control in your environment. If you want to have control, all control on your machines and compute and all those, then it will come onto the left hand side of the this chart. If you do not want to have control, you want to have the business user using your services, then you will come onto the right hand side of the chart, like coming to the software as a service. I mean, in the chart, four chart, you will have more clarity on this concept.
Mhm.
Okay, then you will come to the basic of public, private, and hybrid cloud concept. I mean, as we discussed yesterday only, the public cloud can be used by anyone, and private cloud is dedicated to your corporate or your customer, and hybrid cloud is a method through which you can have your on premise environment also, and you can have your you can say public cloud environment also, and you can switch between your on premise to your public cloud. You can move your slowly you can create the connectivity, and you can slowly move your machines to public cloud and decommission your existing on premise environment. So you will see the comparison also for these cloud services, because currently, as Ratnesh mentioned yesterday, 65% of the global corporate environment is still on premise. So they cannot just move to online services. They need to have a migration strategy, and their compliance limitation, their security concept. Like in pharmaceutical companies, they have their compliance services, and they have their GXP application hosted on their servers. They have their production services hosted on their on-premise servers. They cannot just move. I mean, if you have any impact on those servers, their production will get stopped. So it is still in process, and slowly it is getting migrated to these cloud services.
Okay.
Yeah. Then
So,
30 to
so
35%. Yeah.
yeah, so I can correlate in my account. We can say that we are slowly moving to a on premises to a public cloud, because for us we have set up a data center in Amsterdam, and we have a on premises, and we are moving our machines from on premises to that particular data center. So we can say that we are moving from on premises to a public cloud.
Correct. You have a hybrid cloud kind of a model. Once
Yes,
you are moved completely to the public cloud, then you will decommission this and you will only have your public cloud environment.
yes,
But it's a slow and long process. You just cannot have a switch to you can say cloud services in a day or two. So it
yeah,
will
yeah,
take some time.
yeah. Because from last 6 or 7 month, we are migrating the machine, so it's a very slow
Say,
process.
say, Same is the case for multiple customer I am handling, and even Ratnesh was also having these movement of migration from on-premise to environment. Because see, you can move your mailboxes, you can move your chat services, sir, but if you are having these servers catering to your production services, then you cannot just move them. You will have business impact of those services if they are not available, and that will cost you.
Yes,
So it's a long process for every customer. We are facing it for most of the customers. And again, if you have technical people in with your customer, they will again compare with AWS and Google Cloud, and then they will say, I want to have a tool which through which I can move to either to Google Cloud, either to AWS and to Azure. I mean, I am having one customer in which he is saying, I want to have cloud brokering in which I can move to AWS. If I find cheaper services on AWS, then I will go to AWS. If I find cheaper on the Google Cloud, then I will go to Google Cloud. I don't want to set up as I mean, show me the solution in which you will I can move my server to any of these technology. So
yes.
we
Uh,
provided the solution to them, and now we have the option of moving the servers of to any of the public cloud available.
yeah, because in our scenario, client has purchased a pass from Azure as well, so they
Correct,
compare the IBM cloud or IBM services with Azure.
correct, correct. This is what I'm trying to explain. That they will go for a best efficient option available in market.
So,
They
guys,
they do not. Yeah.
yeah, you're absolutely right, Varun and Vinith also. So I have to say something about IBM actually, because what IBM is doing nowadays, Vinith and Varun both, right? So like they are aggressively marketing their cloud services. So what they're doing actually, they are giving the vouchers, certification vouchers to all the MNCs nowadays, just to promote their cloud business. And also what IBM is doing, they're providing free training to all the architects, all the solution architects as a free service to get new businesses on IBM cloud, right? Same
Hmm.
like Google Cloud did and Azure or AWS did, right? So the marketing strategy, what I'm following the IBM now, they are they're very aggressive. They're very aggressive, like other cloud providers. Earlier they were not actually. But as Minit already highlighted yesterday, if you remember correctly, they are division of the companies. The two companies kind of. So cloud
Hmm.
business will be separate, infrastructure business will be separate. So I'm just loving the business model of the IBM, the cloud especially. And IBM is a very legacy, very old company. They have their old jewels, everything with them. and they started the IT infrastructure business, the support and modern and everything. But now they are aggressively moving towards cloud journey, and they're also getting many customers into their business. They're into deal, their bid, right, Vinith?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's why they want to showcase IBM as a cloud company only. That's why they are saying.
Yes, that's a business model. They're coming up
Yes.
because they have to fight with already existing three cloud players, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
It is with the every company, Vineet, like CSC also got demerged, you can say. They also broke into HP Enterprise and DXC Technology. It is with every company because they know that the future is cloud only. Either you can create your own cloud or you can provide services to the existing cloud companies. So it is now with the every customer that they want to go with the cloud. They don't want to manage the IT infrastructure, and they want to focus on their core businesses because in the I have seen many customers who are spending you can say 20 of 30% of their revenue in their IT infrastructure. Now they can budget it because cloud services you can provide the exact amount of your proposed budget for next year, but in your on-premise environment, you were not able to provide that amount to your business heads. So that is also an advantage of using cloud services. You can provide the exact amount you are going to spend in your next year, or you can say 5 year. So that is also an advantage for using cloud services, and they are doing it in agile method now. So yeah, so in the existing scenario, understanding core Azure services will mark up to 30 to 35% of the whole content. Okay, so so we will go with the first concept of in availability services, which is high availability. So which is you can say expressed as a percentage its ability of system to respond to the user. I think you are already aware of high availability.
Hmm.
How do we achieve high
Yeah.
availability using load
Yes.
balancer and all that? So I mean, Microsoft is 99.9%. It is like 4 nines and 4 minutes per month. You can calculate in availability. So when you want to showcase I mean, if customer asks you that what would be the availability of my services, you can just provide the Microsoft link to that they have a 99.99% services
So,
and
like
yeah.
Varun, let's have some question actually. So,
Yeah.
Vineet, in scalability, right? We know we are listening this word. You're from since last 7 years. So we have horizontal scalability and we have vertical scalability. So, what is your understanding on that part? Question for you, Vineet.
Okay, actually, for horizontal and vertical, I can't say anything. For scalability, I would say it's for we can say it's a future. It's for a future. Like we have set up our infrastructure, so we can assume that, or we can calculate that after 6 months, how much users we have, or how much we can say
Ability of system to handle growth of users or work, right?
e- e- ability of system to, yes, we can say in that matter,
Yes,
yes.
yes, yes,
Now
yes,
we have
yes.
100 users, and after 6 months we would have a 200 users. So
Hmm.
our infrastructure is able to handle 200 users or not. That is called scalability. But
Right.
horizontal,
So,
I
yeah.
don't have idea.
No problem, no problem. So actually, just take example of Amazon. We are using the apps, for shopping, online shopping, big basket on anything, right? So think about their sale. They have mega sale or some Diwali sale. The Shera or Happy New Year sale kind of. And consider in previous years we have seen sometimes applications crashing, right? Their app is crashing. So considering those scenarios, So you never know how many customers are going to buy mobile. Just think about iPhone launch, right? So iPhone 12 is going on. Think about their launch in India or across the globe.
Hmm.
How many hits are going to do that application? You never know, right? 1 crores, million, billion. You never know. So considering all those things, think if you have on-premise infrastructure and your Amazon application is hosted on your on-premise infrastructure, and you are not going to get complete scalability, complete elasticity, high availability from your on premise, right? But when you talk about any cloud player like CSP, Azure, GCP, or AWS, you are going to get 100% scalability if you have some mega sale like Amazon example I quoted. So that scalability will be taken care by Azure itself. You need not to worry. There will be some contract penalty clauses with your cloud CSP provider because they are defining the scalability, and you have signed off, you have contract with them. You are going to get those automatic scalability, the horizontal and vertical. So coming to horizontal and vertical is like, so horizontal scalability is, it's good actually, right? And the vertical scalability is not acceptable. So vertical scalability is like, suppose you have one server. Take example, you have one server like a Windows server or Linux server, right? And you have designed t-shirt size. When I'm calling t-shirt size, that means you have some vCPU, some VRAM, and you have disk associated with your server, Linux or Windows server, right? But when you are going to increase the compute resources, right, you are increasing the virtual CPU, increasing the RAM disk. That is called vertical scalability. Getting my point?
Hmm.
And the
Yes.
horizontal scalability is you have one server and you want high availability, clustering, adding more servers, and you have fault domain and everything within the Azure cloud, and you are going to increase your scalability exponentially horizontally, not vertically. Vertically is not good. It's kind of one point of failure, right? But in horizontal scalability, you are going to get your services available online 100%. 99.9 means 100% only. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Over to you, Mr. Bhatt.
Yeah. Now you have the concept, clear concept of scalability. Now we will come to elasticity, the next concept. The elasticity of a system to automatically grow and shrink based on the application demand. So like Ratnesh was giving you example of Amazon. So at one point of time, like a Diwali festival, or you can say New Year sale, it will only increase to some point, and then gradually it will decrease also. So in the cloud services, they will only charge you how much you are using. So you in the Diwali month you will have increase in your billing, then it will come down in the November month. So this concept is called elasticity.
Can you repeat it?
Yeah. So like in current scenario, if you are taking example of you have heard of Signal app, right? Now everyone is talking about privacy issue, and WhatsApp is changing their privacy policy. You have heard of a Signal app, right?
Yes.
Okay, so now it is getting changed. Their resources are highly utilized, so they have to increase their capacity because user demand is arising. So once they are stabilized, then again it will come down. It's a temporary phase, right? So this concept is called elasticity, in which you can increase your capacity based on user demand.
Very good example from Varun actually on this elasticity actually. So the elasticity is copycat from the AWS. We have EC2 instances, right, Vinit? So like we have in AWS cloud, we call our VM or server as a EC2 instance, right? As a virtual instance.
Hmm.
So elasticity concept you can relate with your VMware knowledge actually, right? You have thin provisioning, you have thick provisioning, right? So what provisioning you are as a VMware architect or virtualization architect, what is your recommendation? What you are going to use?
So as of now, like we are using thick provisioning, but now we are uh, uh, moving from thick to thin because it's a like storage cost is very high in thick provisioning.
Right. So that is called storage optimization. That's a green revolution for the storage. Think about like Varun, we manage a lot of projects, right? Where we have our storage assigned to the different services like
Correct,
city
correct, correct,
services, like exchange services, and we have other rental services and many things, right? But
correct.
by using this thin provisioning, you are going to you're going to do optimum utilization of storage. I'm just taking example of one service here as a storage, because in Azure cloud there are four types of storage. If you will be remembering, Vinit, for your information, like we have blob storage, we have file system, file services, we have queue, and we have table also. But considering the scenario, if we want elasticity uses of all the services, that means optimum utilization of our services. And one example we have taken as a storage here. That's clear.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Now the another concept is agility. So this is the
Uh,
ability
um,
to.
Varun, can we wrap up because I have a call at 12:15. Actually, I have a
Okay,
daily call at 12:15.
no issue, no issue. So we will go ahead tomorrow with the same
What
concept
what
and
uh, what
yeah,
sorry to interrupt you. What I'll do, I will uh, go through some slides from fault tolerance onwards. Okay.
yeah,
So
yes,
tomorrow when we will come, you will ask me a question for next 5 or 7 slides. What you
correct,
have,
correct,
what you came to know from this slide, so I can answer that. That will be
correct, correct. Then we will skip those slides. If
yes.
your concepts are clear about those slides, then we will skip those slides. And if you are able to make up AZ 900 on in, you can say, 2 to 3 days, then we will have time for the AZ 104.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Then we can wrap up. Thanks, Vinith, for your time, and thanks, Ragnesh.
Thanks, Varun.
Thank
Bye. Take care.
Yeah.
Bye
thank
Bye
you.
bye.
bye.
Bye.